Ahoy there, and get ready to party like it's episode 99. I'm Luke, he, him, sometimes they, them, and I am the host of DohMance Dawn, the only podcast talking about One Piece and The Simpsons every episode. Get on our level. I am joined by my lovely, wonderful, and beautiful co-host, Janine.
Hello, my name is Janine Juliet. My pronouns are she, they, and I don't have a third thing to say.
Yeah, it is our 99th episode, which means next episode is episode 100. And as a result, if you get on the Discord or Blue Sky or theoretically the YouTube channels and you think that we got one of our castings wrong, this is your chance to make us go and change one of those. We will accept one general fan submission, but then Janine and I will have one. A few select listeners will get a option, and then we're going to go and talk to some other people involved with the show who will get us to look back at some of the choices that we made in the past and perhaps undo them. Because Ginny and I know that you really want someone more hateable for Mary.
Yeah, and we have a very long laundry list of hateable people. Not just hateable characters, hateable actual people, celebrity cameoed people that have been in The Simpsons.
But I do want to say the Straw Hats' first ship is called the Going Mary, and the sheep on the front is based on Mary, so we don't want to have someone so hateable who would be on the front of the ship.
Honestly, I will entertain all choices. I won't select. I'll select the best, but I don't know if it's funny. I'll read it.
I mean,
So
you
send it
are
in.
the
Yeah.
you are the one who will be like presenting your. I think this would be a better character for Mary. It's not everybody submitting their own ideas for Mary.
I mean, it's not that. It
Okay,
also
yes.
can be if
Theoretically,
you listener want to join in on me in finding a very killable face to put towards that sheep man. You know, let me hear what you got. If you got a gripe about something else, let us know, because remember, our axe hand Morgan used to be Chief Wiggum.
Mm-hmm. Get in our Discord. We'll collect your suggestions for a while, and then we'll just do a poll for which one the general audience has gotten. But I know one of the suggestions that we may be covering is a discussion on a alternative Gecko Moria. So, anyways, we have our normal episode stuff to cover, but you know what we have to talk about before then, Janine?
What do we got to talk about before then?
Oh, so hard to resist. Mesquite grilled onions, jalapeno relish. Wait a minute. Those are Southwestern ingredients! Mango lime salsa? That's the kind of bold flavor they enjoy in Albuquerque!
Andie, that bit is so good. Thank you for editing together my aural vision. Aural meaning you hear it with your ears, your R's. Yeah, I got back from New Mexico last night. I got to go and see the Albuquerque Isotopes play and lose. But also, Janine, I got to explore that stadium and I got to have some real Isotopes food.
Hell yes.
Mm-hmm.
Please tell me that there was something that was on their new lineup that we discussed that you were able to try out?
Yeah, so I went on a neuter game with my family. Nothing like 90-degree weather, not a cloud in the sky, not a drop of moisture. My knees are burnt. But only my knees, because I put sunscreen everywhere else and then was like, oh no, I'm wearing shorts. Oh no, I made a mistake. Shorts are rarely ever a mistake, but in this time they were. But yeah, I got to go and walk around the stadium, which does have life-size or technically larger than life statues of Homer, Marge, Bart, and Lisa. The U.S. military recruiters were camped out right in front of the Lisa bench, which was just such a weird place for them to go. But while I was there, I got a few things. I ended up getting the Hog Father, which, if you remember from our last episode, is the waffle covered with pig candy, which is the deep fried pork ends, along with French fries, and then topped with another waffle and a dollop of chocolate whipped cream. And it was pretty damn good.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Like, I finished the whole thing. And it is not the worst food that I had on my trip, but that usually goes to like the airport food you are forced to get on your way back home. Because
Yeah.
I had a quesadilla that was so bad that I didn't finish it. Like they fucked up a quesadilla.
I'm not sure how you did that.
The meat was bad. They did that thing where they cut it up into pieces and then they stack all the pieces, and then when they had wrapped it up in foil, it kind of turned into a amorphous blob. It was just like that all around. Abby ended up having some veggie tacos that were also very disappointing according to her. So but yes. So I had the Hog Father, ended up getting the classic large bottle of water. I got a Mai Tai in a souvenir glass. And
Nice.
it was also one of those things where, because it was a neuter game, they were closing some of the stands early. Uh like by the seventh inning, or by the end of the seventh inning, I think there's like two or three of them left open, because that was the point where it's like, oh, the Isotopes were losing something like 4-10, and the schools were like, okay, yeah, we're getting the kids out of here. So I ended up also getting a foot long corn dog, which was a very solid corn dog, and then I got a strawberry smoothie, which I don't know if I was just bad at sucking, but with the straw that they gave me, I could not get like the smoothie up because it was one of those like accordion straws.
Huh.
But it was also
Yeah.
in like one of those really long, like beakery glasses, like novelty glasses. And I don't know if there was a hole in it or something. But yeah, I was just not sucking it up. So I ended up pouring that into my collectible Mai Tai glass and drinking out of that. All in all, great time. Go support your local minor league baseball, see what weird stuff is going on. I got myself an Isotopes hat. I've got to mail some stuff to people, but Janine has some Isotopes merch going on, and you can also just order Isotopes merchandise on the website. And I had a great time there. Would recommend, would go back.
Honestly, as a person who's has been growing into a larger and larger Simpsons fan, I would love a chance to go to Albuquerque and have that experience. And I think that the experience is even better because, just like a good home team game, they lost by a lot.
Oh no, they actually caught up, and the final score was 12-10.
Wow.
Yeah, no, there was a beautiful triple play, and it was just like, oh, this is great. Are they going to bring it back? And then no, no, there was some disappointing stuff with the end. Like, the Isotopes have also been having an amazing season this year. Like, they have won the majority of their games. They are like the number one spot, so it was especially disappointing. But shout out to my boy Blaine Krim for getting that triple. He crimmed it up good.
Hell yeah.
All right. I think that's everything I have to say about the Isotopes game. If you're ever out in Santa Fe, Harry's Roadhouse is great. We ate there for 3 meals, and all of them were great. I mean, I think it says something like if you ever go to a vacation, go to the same restaurant multiple times, that it's not a question of, oh, it's because this is cheap and this is all we can afford, but more of, this is very good food.
I don't know, man. I've been very, very careful about spreading out my entire eating experience.
Uh-huh.
Like, when I go somewhere now, I have different snack options, like places I would want to go to grab a snack.
Uh-huh.
Because I can't just chance that to like a convenience store, maybe a Wawa. But that's
Mhm.
only because Wawa also has its own specialty things that you could be able to do. I'm gonna go off into a Wawa tangent if I'm not careful. But basically what I'm saying is, like, I cannot follow, like, the idea of going to somewhere 3 times inside of a trip is so insane to
If
me, kind of.
if it helps, I have been to Santa Fe multiple times,
That
and
does
it
help. I'm glad now to know that you've still had um a wider variety
yeah,
over time.
it is also like, you know how the Southwest be. If you aren't in a major metropolitan area, it's like 20 minutes to get anywhere, and hopefully that's good food. And this just happens to be very good food that is like 10 minutes away.
Well, you can't beat that convenience, and if you got a sure thing going for you, I mean, I hope you had multiple different kinds of meals, at least at a lunch and a dinner or something.
Oh yeah, no. Like, I went like each time we went there I did have something different. And like, all like, they had amazing onion rings that are only on their lunch menu, and like a perfect onion ring where it actually has not only like visible onion, but like the onion has flavor to it.
Ah, yeah.
Mhm.
Now, for me, like, a good test of it is that the onion can be able to get through the bite and not just, like, I don't know.
Fully fall out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that you're just like holding on to just like an empty breading.
Mm-hmm. No, I follow what you were saying. Yeah, I had very different things each time I was there, and we also did go to other restaurants. It was just like, oh, this is special. This is worth going back to.
Well, I hope that I could run into a restaurant that special in my travels in the future.
All right. Well, are we ready to now talk about Simpsons and One Piece?
Sure, that's what we do on this podcast.
That is, it's not just Luke's Southwest travel report. Though, I mean, what if you and I did a Southwest travel report? We just fully Rick Steves it up. by which I mean dude loves weed.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to say no to travel of any kind or eating of any kind, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, these episodes we are covering this week initially ran between April 14th and May 12th of the year 2013. The first Simpsons episode was What Animated Women Want. That starts with a Breaking Bad opening, where Mr. Meth and his friend Lil Meth are watching The Simpsons. So now we can use Mr. Meth and Lil Meth as characters, Janine.
That's what we're going to have to call them now.
Uh-huh. You know, the characters from Albuquerque. Like every Vince Gilligan show. He loves Albuquerque. So do I. So Marge gets frustrated with Homer when he is unable to be romantic at a sushi restaurant, and so he goes to buy her a bouquet and a card, but this only reminds her of all of the other broken apologies he has had. So Homer decides to go and actually do things that he has promised to do in the past, but once he gets the list done, Marge realizes that this was several years old from when Bart was still a baby. So she gets angrier. Homer returns to the sushi restaurant for more racist jokes. Then when he comes home, he brings her leftovers, but he is unable to stop himself from eating while apologizing, which annoys Marge even more. So Moe suggests that Homer act like 50 Shades of Grey, and he goes to buy bondage equipment, but ends up getting injured. And Marge forgives him because she recognizes that even if he makes mistakes, Homer will never stop trying. Doesn't work for me necessarily. The B plot is Milhouse is inspired by a streetcar named Desire, and he doesn't give his cupcake to Lisa, so she starts to respect him and have interest in him. And he decides to keep being more of a jerk, and it keeps working for Lisa. But then, when he is feeling conflicted and talks to the school therapist, she tells him to keep lying about who he is. He ends up getting hurt trying to seem tough, and he even ignores Lisa to maintain this facade, but then he kind of gets tired of it, offers her a cupcake, and shares it with Lisa, and they kind of find a better normal.
It sucks.
Yeah, this season is all just like, we are bad about gender dynamics and relationships.
Yeah, it's completely terrible. It does Lisa so bad. And the thing is that she actually does not develop from it. Milhouse feels bad about doing this and stops on his own. He has a conscience and he stops. It's not Lisa who is supposed to be smarter and at least more emotionally intelligent than the other Simpsons. You know, completely falling for this BS, and oh my god, it just feels like such a weird vindication for like these pig-headed men, you know? I don't know.
Yeah.
I defend Lisa like she is my child because she was kind of like the placeholder Janine inside of a lot of stories.
Yeah, no, I agree. This is a weird episode, and like, I don't even feel like Marge suddenly forgiving Homer makes sense. I think this might be the death knell of this sort of story, though, because I did the preparation for the next potentially last 6 episodes of the podcast, and we get into the seasons that I have actually seen when I restarted watching and just randomly picked a season, and we get less of this sort of Homer and Marge dynamic where Marge is just angry at Homer and it's very based in the past.
I do like that it is like her forgiveness comes at um Homer genuinely trying. He has love and he attempts.
Mm-hmm.
Um I do like that better than Marge just pitying him and taking him back, which happens quite a lot. But I don't think it was enough to like really feel satisfying. And I don't think I don't think this kind of storyline has anything left to make it feel satisfying because of all of the other times. And like I will be very happy if I go at least like 10 episodes before Homer and Marge have another marriage crisis.
And especially for us to have like really boring gender politics like on this episode and like so many other episodes this season. Because yeah, it's not good. I sent you some pictures of New Mexican food to cheer you up, Janine.
Thank you. Also, they did do something new with this one. I believe this one was the one that was narrated by a serious third party, which hasn't really been done before. So, like, it was kind of an interesting framing for the episode and going in between segments. The best part of it is a scene where Maggie is just going nuts. And if you have to watch this episode, just watch that one scene. It is the length of a vine, maybe less, and you'll get more out of that bit than you will a lot of other jokes that they try in this one, because it is sexist and racist.
And boring.
Yeah.
The trifecta.
Things you don't want your Simpsons episodes to be.
So the second episode is Pulpit Friction. The couch breaks in the opening gag. The weird transitions from opening gags into the episodes is a nice twist. Yeah, the couch breaks in the opening gag, and the new one that they get is filled with bed bugs, which spread out to the community, causing a crisis. Reverend Lovejoy is unable to help out, and that's when the person shows up with Elijah Hooper, who is another pastor who has a simpler message with pop culture references, and he tells the congregation to socialize on their Sundays instead. He also offers Homer a position as a deacon to try and reach out to him, the most lost of the congregation, and this ends up alienating Flanders. Lovejoy ends up leaving the church because it doesn't seem to need him, and Homer really gets into his new role, which frustrates Bart, so he and Ned team up to bring Lovejoy back, but he was selling hot tubs and he refuses. Bart decides to fake a plague of frogs using the dead bed bugs to lead the frogs into town to attack the church, and when Hooper is unable to do anything, Lovejoy comes back to put the frogs to sleep, saving the day. And the B plot is Marge is unable to find her wedding dress from the dry cleaners and finds out that it got sent over to Krusty. He used it in a sketch with Mr. Teeny and it vanished, and Marge is sad because she wanted to give it to Lisa. But Lisa tells her that she never plans to get married and didn't want the dress, which hurts Marge. But Lisa, seeing that she hurt her mom and feeling guilty, tracks down the dress and shows her that another couple bought it and they are getting married, and Marge feels a bit better about it. The A-plot really doesn't work, because the whole thing is like, Lovejoy is boring. Lovejoy doesn't have any sort of connection to the people and is just saying things that put people to sleep. But we don't really get a good sense of like Elijah Hooper's relationship with the congregation, and this is where I'm going to get a little pastor's kid with you, Janine, or former pastor's kid, technically. This feels like a script written by a person who's never actually had a serious, like, religious, like, issue, or especially an organized religious issue, and I think it's just kind of like, we need to do some things, and yeah, it just feels very underbaked for a lead. The stuff with Lovejoy being really good at selling hot tubs was a lot of fun. And I think that the B plot with the wedding dress is also really good, because I think that it is something that Lisa would say and wouldn't think about how it would hurt her mom. But yeah, that A plot is just kind of a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah, I almost wish that they were reversed.
Mm-hmm.
Because I did have a pretty good time finding out about this wedding dress that just seemed to come out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I don't remember Marge's wedding dress that much, but I remember it a lot more now that I've seen it on Mr. Teeny.
I mean, they got married at Shotgun Peak's wedding chapel.
And you remember that, but the dress, the color,
It's pink. Like, it is not a real wedding dress, but that's a whole other thing, because that was where they're trying to get Marge and Homer married before Bart came along, and it was, a lot of last minute stuff. But yeah, like, the Marge and Lisa relationship is much more interesting, and The Simpsons doesn't have anything to say about like Lovejoy. I mean, his whole thing is he comes back, he has not changed. They just need him to stop this frog crisis, but we don't get a reason why they are suddenly fed up with Elijah Hooper.
Yeah, honestly, there's a lot you could be able to just kind of like point at in pop culture that's just like the frogs, and you could probably figure something out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it really does feel kind of contrived that this happens, and the key to success is what Lovejoy was good at, and that's sucking. Let's be honest. You if you're gonna have Edward Norton as a voice, you give him something with good like lines, and there are some funny things, like when he's stammering about different things and shouts out Fight Club. Love it. But it's, I don't know. I would have rather seen him as like literally any other kind of character.
Mm-hmm. Or they needed to have a clear idea of what he was and what his failures were, because we understand why Lovejoy wasn't working out, even though the bedbug crisis was not his responsibility in any way. But like, why do they suddenly turn on him when he is still giving them the simple messages with pop culture references that they want in a time of crisis? Like, he does not have his own crisis of faith that could make it helpful. He doesn't, like, it is underbaked in a way that is frustrating, and I wish that Simpsons, I don't want to say got more complicated with their religious stories, but also that's kind of what I wish, because this is just a whole lot of nothing. We go to talk about the next one.
Yeah, I don't really have anything else to say than the best joke was when Lovejoy was trying to play guitar and was sucking at it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very easy joke to make, and it just gets funnier the longer you drag it out.
Whiskey business. Mo tries to commit suicide, but he gets saved in the last minute. When Marge shows up at the bar looking for Homer, she finds out about this attempt and decides to take Mo and the guys on a road trip to Capital City, leaving Bart in charge of Grandpa. And at the end of the trip, they buy Mo a new suit. That way, he knows that people like him and care about him. Bart, meanwhile, makes a massive slide to go down, and it turns out that he sent Lisa over to a jazz concert where Bleeding Gums Murphy is performing as a hologram with ads, and Lisa gets offended. Grandpa ends up going down the slide by accident, and he gets hurt. Bart feels guilty and has to take care of him. Meanwhile, with the new suit, Mo starts to clean up the bar, and when new customers come in, he shares bourbon that he made, and he gets an offer to sell it as a company. Lisa writes a letter complaining about the holograms, and the company sends in more holograms to try and trick her into being okay with it. Mo's whiskey, meanwhile, is prepared for an IPO, but his suit gets destroyed the night before. And Mo becomes worried that the business people won't like him, and Marge works to convince him otherwise. Bart, meanwhile, finds out that Grandpa's been pretending to be injured, but they both enjoy spending time with each other, so that's where that one resolves. The Lisa hologram plot doesn't really resolve at all. It's just, oh, hey, we're going to harass her more, and then that's kind of the end of it. And then Mo shows up without the suit to the big stock event. The price of the stock crashes and the bar falls apart again, but Mo, knowing that he has some self-worth, works on cleaning it up instead of just letting it fall into disrepair. The Mo stuff works. The Bart and Grandpa plotline has been overdone so many times. And the Lisa plot goes nowhere, but I think going as dark as they did with Mo, like full on ready to commit suicide. Yeah, it and then just kind of getting to the point of, oh, I do have people who care about me. I do have a benefit of taking pride in myself, and like there is value in my life. I think that was complicated in a good way.
I think that there are a lot of times that we see Mo get success and then end up back at square one. But this one does feel a little bit better because it is addressing the thing that we've been joking about all this time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to look at it as as an example for if you're depressed, but it definitely went in a better direction than it normally does.
Yeah. Uh like Mo realizing that if he doesn't care about himself, things get worse and it makes it harder to care. I think that's a complicated truth.
Hey, how timely is it that the musicians being brought back with AI is, becoming a little bit more relevant again?
Yeah, I wish they had something to say other than it's bad and companies are going to ignore that it's bad and do it because they want to.
Yeah. I mean, The Simpsons predicted it. It doesn't resolve.
It does not. Yeah. I I think this one might have been the best out of the four that we had this episode because it at least the main plot line felt good and complete and had a good character arc. That's more than we can say with the other ones we've covered so far. I also forgot to call out in the What Animated Women Want, the whole streetcar named Desire thing seems weirdly like a, hey, you remember how people love a streetcar named Marge, that classic episode? Let's look at that again in just a much less interesting way. Because we had also gotten the whole Ernest Hemingway plot line with Lisa like last season. Anyway, let's stop discussing gender and let's talk about the fabulous Faker Boy. How's that sound, Janine?
That sounds questionable.
Yeah. Skinner suggests to Marge that Bart take music lessons, and Bart meets Zinnia, a girl he is attracted to, but in exchange for Bart's lessons, Marge has to teach her father Slava how to drive. Bart and Slava are both unable to learn how to do what they are supposed to. Zinnia tells Bart that she would love him if she could get more students, and so he decides to fake getting better. Lisa guilts him about this, and when Zinnia starts to get new students, she no longer has interest in Bart, and so he tries to confess that he faked everything to Marge, but then he finds out that she entered him a talent show, and she is set to be embarrassed when he tells the truth. Slava, meanwhile, bribed his way to pass the driver's test and tells Marge that Bart is a good boy because of why he cheated, and Marge recognizes that he was trying to do the right thing, and she was the one trying to force him to be who he wanted. And so, for punishment, she makes him go hang out with Grandpa. Boy, hanging out with Grandpa sure is a recurring punishment, isn't it? And then the B plot is Homer loses his last two hairs and becomes worried about how bald he is and keeps trying different hats to hide it. Like it's a recurring background B plot for the most part. And then he meets Patrick Stewart or just another bald man who we don't really find out more, but he tells Homer how to be bald successfully. Homer confesses everything to Marge, and Marge lies and says that she would still be attracted to him. And then those last two hairs grow back to Marge's relief. It's a weird one.
It is. We should talk about r/bald on Reddit.
Okay.
It is starting to become like a little bit of a growing phenomenon, breaking containment, if you will. This subreddit where people have been posting up how they look before shaving everything, showing off that they're balding and asking everybody, hey, should I just shave it all off? And they'll have memes to respond. And there's before and after pictures of these men, of how they look, going from a comb over to completely bald. It's a completely different thing. I think Homer would look better if he shaved everything up top of his head.
Fair.
It's not in his character to look good, so he should probably still have the comb over. But I'm just saying, like, I don't...
It is better to live with your truth and accept what you can't change and figure out how to make that work for you, as opposed to trying to lie about things that you can't contain. I also forgot that this episode had the Robot Chicken opening.
Oh yeah. That was pretty nice.
It was kind of long, but we're kind of getting into that era where it's, if you don't have a good episode, you're just going to fill it out.
Well, we're also in the era where a lot of these episodes are just starting without a couch gag.
Also, weird use of Jane Krakowski here as Xenia. You know who Jane Krakowski is, right? 30 Rock?
Yes.
Jenna?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, she does not have a lot of lines, and, like, gets a bit of a song, but it just kind of feels underserved. Bill Hader has fun doing a Bill Hader with an accent voice, though. And Patrick Stewart's in this.
It's always nice to see him.
Though his character design is very weird. Just like slightly strange enough. Kind of like someone who would take commissions for Simpsons art but doesn't fully understand how to do it well.
Okay, fuck, marry, kill. Simpsons Patrick Stewart. American Dad Patrick Stewart. And Patrick Stewart.
When you say American Dad Patrick Stewart, you're talking about Deputy Director Avery Bullock?
They've both appeared on the show. I mean, I know that Bullock is the one that that Patrick Stewart does voice, but they've also had like a Patrick Stewart there as a joke. I think that the joke is also that he looks exactly the same.
Well, I mean, Patrick Stewart does appear as himself on Blood Crieth Unto Heaven, where he sets up the play as the last episode of American Dad. But he hasn't appeared as Patrick Stewart as like an animated character within it.
Interesting.
Anyway, I love American Dad, but this is not that show. Geez. I would marry real Patrick Stewart. I think that he seems like a very swell guy. I'd kill Simpsons family, or I would kill Simpsons Patrick Stewart just because I think the character is disconcerting, and then I'd have sex with Avery. I would have sex with either Patrick Stewart setting up that episode of American Dad or his character Avery Bullock. Does that answer your question?
It does.
All right. New characters unlocked include Boston Cream Basie, Princess Diana, Wally the Kissing Walrus, Living Sushi, Mamma Mia director, Paula Atreides, Justin Bieber's dad, and many more. All right, on to One Piece. We're covering episodes 591 through 595. Episode 100, we're hitting 600 episodes. I was talking to a listener today, and they pointed out that we would be probably if we have taken 600 episodes, or if we have used 100 episodes of our show to cover 600 episodes, that means on what would be our 200th episode, we would be, I believe, where One Piece is right now in the anime. One Piece current episode. The most recent episode is 1162. So, if and when, make sure to leave reviews and tell people about the show. All right, these episodes include Chopper Enraged, Masters Tyrannical Experiments,
Gang Obliteration, Legendary Hitman Attack,
Save Nami, Luffy Snow Mountain Battle,
Formation, The Pirate Alliance, Luffy Law,
Capture Master, the Pirate Alliance's operation begins. So, the reunited Straw Hats, alongside Brownbeard and the children they saved, are hanging out in a cave to assess what's going on at Punk Hazard when 2/3 of the samurai Kinemon leave to find his torso. Shortly after, the kids start to feel weird, and Chopper figures out that they are suffering withdrawal effects from the drugs that the master gave them in the form of candy. He confronts Brownbeard, who doesn't believe the master would do anything like this, but Chopper proves that their candy is a highly addictive drug. The children plead for Luffy to help them, but Chopper tells Luffy not to help them, and the kids start to attack. Chopper gets even more angry, and Usopp knocks the kids out with a plant, and then they tie them all up and set out to find more information, with Brook, Sanji, and Zoro finding massive footprints in the snow. I messaged Janine and said, oh yeah, this is where things gotta get fucked up again with One Piece.
Yeah, this is extremely fucked up with One Piece.
It doesn't feel great when these kids have been addicted to drugs for reasons we'll cover later in the episode. It's actively bad. Caesar Clown is potentially one of the most evil people in One Piece.
Yeah, like there are evil things that people have done, like genocides. But the just the fact, getting kids hooked on drugs has got to be the most uniquely evil thing that we've seen.
I mean, we'll get to it later, but it's also he is getting kids hooked on drugs so that they turn into giants that will work and serve the Marines. He is both a drug pusher, an illicit scientist, and a military recruiter. He's the most evil man possible.
Yeah.
Oh. Caesar Clown is so evil. He's a piece of shit. Caesar, holding Smoker's heart, feels unconcerned and plans to get the kids back by sending in the Yeti Cool brothers after the Straw Hats. They are the source of those massive footprints, and Caesar is suspicious that maybe Law was the one who called Smoker in, until Law reminds him that he wanted his presence to be secret as well, and he also points out that he is pretty fucking disgusted with Caesar's experiments on the kids. But I mean, he's still working with them. But we'll get some information on that in the future. It's a Law's long-term plans and reasons for working with Caesar Clown watch. So, Luffy, Usopp, Frankie, and Robin find signs of the Yeti Cool brothers attacking the cave with the kids in it, and they head back. Brownbeard, who's still tied up, wakes up and recognizes the Yeti Cool brothers, Rocks and Scotch, who are shrouded in mystery. And when he points out that he knows who they are, they reveal that Brownbeard has been set to be executed for Caesar. He pleads for his life, but then they shoot him as the other Straw Hats return, and the brothers run away with Nami, who, if you forgot, is currently in Frankie's body because Caesar wants to study the laser in Frankie's body. Frankie, in Chopper's body, asks for a rumble ball, that way he can transform, and Chopper agrees with warnings, Chopper being in Sanji's body. But then Frankie immediately eats the rumble ball, turns into Monster Point, and starts chasing after Luffy. I love Frankie being a big old freak.
Yeah, honestly, I like the unique ways that they find to incapacitate the heroes, and the fact that Frankie is in Chopper's body and is irresponsible with it is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
This is fan fiction territory, and it's so great to see it played out as I would have seen it if it was in a fanfic.
Except for Sanji and Nami's body.
That's a different type of fic. That is what we used to call lemons.
What?
Yeah, we used to call horny fanfics back in the days lemons, and if they were a little bit suggestive, they were considered limes.
Wow. So, if you ever got together to read a lot of these horny fanfics, would that be called a lemon party?
Why not? They're old enough for one now.
Christ. Meanwhile, the centaurs attack the Marines because Caesar wants them captured as test subjects, and Toshigi and Smoker rejoin their men. So Caesar uses his men to lure them further into the island. Luffy and the enraged Chopper Frankie end up falling off a cliff into a trap that the Yeti Cool brothers set, which is a pool of spikes, but Luffy is able to use Haki. That way he can break the spikes down, letting them land. And then Luffy tries to chase after the brothers, but they can move faster than he can. Because, whatever. We never get more of an explanation for the Yeti Cool brothers, Janine. There's people who still think that they are going to be like some big piece at the end of the series. And there's stuff that we see here that is big pieces that are setting up things for the future, but who the fuck knows with the Yeti Cool brothers?
I don't know. I mean, like, I just thought if this guy's making giants, are the Yeti Cool brothers just giants that he made? I don't. The one thing I do know about him is I think they're pretty cool
and mysterious. Meanwhile, another group of centaurs are sent out to the labs in the Burning Land, and they open a door and something comes out of it. The Yeti Cool brothers continue to fire at Luffy. He shoots the bullets back at Rocks, one of the brothers, before Frankie returns to attacking Luffy. The brothers try to drop a mountain on them, but Frankie tosses the mountain on top of the other brother. The brothers try and run off with Nami, with Luffy giving chase, but then Law appears, slicing one of them in half to free Nami, and then knocking the other one out. And as Luffy catches up, Law admits that he is looking for something on the island, and he proposes an alliance to take down one of the four emperors. Law shares a bunch of secrets with Luffy and Nami that aren't revealed to the rest of the audience, and Luffy agrees to an alliance with the Heart Pirates. The rest of the crew has concerns about trusting Law, but because Luffy trusts all of them, they kind of ignore their concerns, and Law restores everyone back to their own bodies, except for Nami, who is now in Sanji's body because Sanji was in the other group and is still in Nami's body. Boo hiss. Law reveals that the kids are part of the government's efforts to make an army of giants, and while he is less interested in helping the kids, Luffy pulls him into his plan. And then because Chopper had taken the rumble ball when Frankie was in his body, initially they tie Chopper to Law's hat, which is adorable, and then they move him onto his chain, and it's cute. It's like a sword charm of Chopper, and that's why there's a bunch of Law cosplayers who do that, because it's cute.
Not as cute as the hat.
Law explains that Caesar has the gas fruit and a bounty of 300 million, and his plan is to capture Caesar to cause chaos for one of the four warlords. Back with the Marines, Tashigi realizes the Centaurs are prisoners who should be dead and starts to put pieces together. And in the Burning Land, the slime that started coming out of the door starts coming out even more. The Centaurs call for help, and they are left on red as the slime flows after them, eventually releasing a cloud of nerve gas, and Caesar refers to it as his pet Smiley, which is a poison who has been turned into an axolotl by a devil fruit.
That Vegapunk.
It's a new favorite Pokemon.
I mean, yeah. Which is basically Galarian Wooper.
Yeah, but slimier. Oops, all slime Wooper. Whoops, all slime. Meanwhile, Brooke, Sanji, and Zoro are looking for Kinemon's body. It turns out the Yeti Cool brothers thought they had killed him, but they underestimated Zoro's ability to not get drunk when they hit him with a drunken bullet. And when they sent other centaurs to recover their bodies, they were easily defeated by Zoro. And then they find, and then they end up finding the samurai's body frozen, and they revive him, and they figure out that his torso must have made it into the water because he can't use his powers, and they agree to save him, and he is kind of delighted by that. Meanwhile, a bunch of centaurs run towards them, running from Smiley and refusing to fight. And we learned that Caesar had developed this H2S gas that not only kills people, but it also destroys buildings, which is what had led to the island being abandoned. After he had gotten taken away, when he returned a year later, he was able to use his power to compress the gas and turn it into Smiley. And meanwhile, Smoker's crew is trying to break into the labs, but they're unable to do so. And that is when Luffy, Frankie, and Robin crash into the Marine ship as they're going to meet up with Law and Chopper, and Luffy declares to Caesar that they're going to kick his ass. Any predictions on how this is going to go, Janine?
None at all. Honestly, there are a lot of things in play, and there's a few things that aren't, that I have no idea about. Like, I'm leaving myself open to surprise.
Hell yeah. I think that it's a great way to enjoy One Piece. I know there's a lot of people who like to do predictions all the time. I'm kind of happy to see what rolls out, and if I have something as I'm like reading that I put together, it's like, hey, that feels rewarding to me. All right, we have 5/6 characters to match. So are you ready, Janine?
Yes.
All right, up first we have the Yeti Cool brothers, Rock and Scotch. I have 3 suggestions. My Rodrigo style, because they are mysterious figures who we mostly just see in shadows, wearing a sort of uniform together, is Jesse Pinkman and Walter White, the Breaking Bads. But specifically the flesh ones, because I like when we have something that would break the reality of the animated series. The throwback is the Smothers Brothers, and then who is cooler than the Mario Brothers, Mario and Luigi, but specifically from that scene where they're trying to convince Bart to steal the video game Bone Storm. Who do you have, Janine?
Well, you'd be happy to know that for my Rodrigo pick, I also had Mr. Math and Little Math. And my throwback also was the Smothers Brothers. I thought the idea was so ridiculous.
I mean, I think that Jesse Pinkman and Walter White work really well.
I think so too.
Hell yeah. I love when we are on the same page.
It
Which one
won't
do you think is
last.
rock and which one is scotch? I don't think it matters.
Yeah.
All right. Up next we have Rebar Smooge. Who do you have for Rebar Smooge? He is a centaur who has a big body and has like a piece of rebar that he fights with.
My picks for Smooge, Fenbach, and Chappie are
Mhm.
just kind of like trios that are kind of linked to each other for both my Rodrigo picks and for my throwbacks.
Bring him to me.
For my Rodrigo pick for Smooge, I have birthmark Billy Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
And for my throwback, all of my throwbacks have the letter Q in them because I just wanted to do something a little bit fun there. Quentin Tarantino.
My Rodrigo pick is Sonny Rollins. My throwback is Rebar Lenny when he has that rebar coming out of his head. And then I also had CSI Miami, the jazz musician. But we can discuss all three of these together. Who do you have for Finbach of the Gourd?
Well, my Rodrigo pick is Jelly Roll Jones.
Mm-hmm.
And my throwback is Captain Quisp, a cereal mascot that is very Great Gazoo-like.
My Rodrigo was Tupac Shakur. My throwback was Shaky Premise. And I also had the Pumpkinhead Man, because pumpkins are a type of gourd. And then last is Rope Tug and Chappie. If only we had gotten to use Chappie the robot. My Rodrigo pick was Grab Ass Walker. My throwback was Mr. Johnson, the rope tugger. And I also had Sketch Friendly, another one of the jazz musicians. Janine, who do you have for Rope Tug and Chappie?
I have Boston Cream Basie. And my throwback was the robot Q15.
Interesting. I'm more willing to go with your jazz musician names. If you want to go
Okay.
for all three of those.
I would.
Hell yeah. And then last but not least, we have Smiley. And what's this? Reverse Eye Patch suggested Safety Salamander, and Duct Tape suggested Blob Homer. Janine, who do you have for Smiley, our big ol' axolotl? Axolotl.
Now, my Rodrigo pick was Resuscitate, the CPR dummy that they have at school. We didn't mention it because it wasn't that funny of a joke, but it still was funny, and it still was a joke. And my throwback, I think we have not used them, is the Frog Prince from Treehouse of Horror 12. The horrible mistake that Bart makes that begs for death.
Let me double check. Kangaroo with Frog, Frog Homer, Bud Frog, Wise Frog, Frog. And no, the only prince we've used is Martin Prince. My Rodrigo is the new Kermit. Kermit the Frog here. My throwback is Carl Salamander. or yeah, Carl's. No, it's not a salamander. It's another reptile. Janine, did you see that Frankiac has updated?
I have not.
Yeah, they now have all of the seasons, and so now you can not only search everything, but you can also search like by specific seasons, and this means that there are actually like good images for all of the like screenshots that we might need.
Hell yeah.
Okay, I have found what I was looking for. It was Carl's gecko. I put down salamander, but it was a gecko, like Gex. And then my other one was classic Kermit. I think that the idea of a massive Kermit the Frog made out of poison is very silly. I love Kermit, but also I think it's very silly. So now we are at the Great Frog debate, Janine, or the Great Axolotl debate.
Dog.
Mm-hmm.
I think Safety Salamander's hilarious.
What if I told you that there is a guy who would make the Safety Salamander power more horrible and amazing?
In the safety aspect or the salamander aspect?
In the safety aspect, and it being a suit.
Huh.
There is a guy who has the power to turn his entire body into a jacket for other people to wear.
These powers, they get very specific.
Mm-hmm. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is specific.
I think I would feel best than going for Carl's gecko.
Can't sway you to a Kermit.
I got a Ooterpile Kermit.
All right, let's go with Carl's gecko then. It is a pet, it is innocent, and it is unfortunately going to kill many, many people. So our Yeti Cool brothers are Jesse Pinkman and Walter White. Our Rebar Smooge is Birthmark Billy Jackson. Our Finbach of the Gourd is Jelly Roll Jones. Our Rope Tugging Chappie is Boston Cream Basie. And our Smiley is Carl's Gecko. Janine, next episode is episode 100.
Yes, I also hear it's going to be the episode where we cross over 600 episodes
Of One Piece.
of One Piece that we've covered.
Yeah, it's going to be a pretty big one all around as things continue to develop on the island, and we're going to get some hot new characters. I went through and yep, we're getting everybody's hard boy in the next episode.
I can't wait to find out what that means.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, Janine, where can you be found online?
You can find me on Blue Sky, JanineJuliet.bisky.social. You could also find me on Instagram at JanineIsDope. I also do another podcast, Wrestle Girlies, with Flighty Butt Lass. You could be able to find that wherever podcasts are usually found. Luke, where can the people find you?
You can find me most places online as at Coltreg, KOL, TREG. I have a Patreon under my name, Luke Hair, LUKEHERR, where donating that lets me know that you care about the show. And then our cover this week was by Kris Dobbins, who you can find most places at Kris, KRIS, Dobbins, DOBBINS, art, ART, and they have done another excellent cover. We will be back in 2 more weeks for episode 100. Make sure, if you have not, to join the Discord. That is the best place to let us know how you feel about the show. And, we like to know that you care about the show that we are putting our time into. You can go check out the show at DohManceDawn.com, and you know how all of this goes. We'll see you in 2 more weeks as it's time to get Virgo to go. Smooth sailing. Peace.